And we are rolling.
We are at the New York City Horror Film Festival, and who do we have with us?
I am Aurelio Voltaire.
And why are you here? What film are you in?
I wrote and directed and act in a film called The Demonatrix. Yes.
Demon, not dominatrix. Demonatrix.
Oh, it's a pun. I'm a dad, and this is a dad joke. Yes.
Tell us about the film.
It tells the story of a Mexican priest, played by me, who comes to the aid of his very dear friend and neighbor, a dominatrix, when she accidentally summons an incubus demon. And somehow this is not a comedy.
How did you come up with the idea?
It's actually a very good question. About 10 years ago, well, I have a very good friend, but I met her maybe 10, 15 years ago. She's a dominatrix. She is somebody who's extremely cultured, extremely sophisticated, very intelligent, very educated, and very domestic. The only person I ever met who asked me if I wanted to come over and make dinner, if I ever wanted to come over and carve jack-o'-lanterns. So she's a very real person, you know. And when people hear the word dominatrix, they want to think of a certain stereotype. And so I wanted to make a movie that where I could show what this person was, who's a very, very real person. But above and beyond that, her home was directly across the street from a Catholic church. And I always used to get kind of a chuckle when I would think, like, I wonder what the priest across the street thinks about what's happening in this home. Because certainly people might be coming or going in very interesting fetish-oriented outfits, and there might be a lot of traffic. And so that's what got me to first start imagining this story. And then, as it happens, priests, like dominatrixes, also are a stereotype. They are a character that a lot of people have very strong, immediate preconceptions about. Either they're like extremely holy, or maybe, you know, they have the other idea about them that they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And what I wanted to show in this extremely fractured and polarized world that we now live in, where everybody is like us against them, that two people who should have no business liking each other can not only be good neighbors, but they might actually even be friends.
So there is actually a message that you want to bring out in the film.
The message, yes, is that if you have an incubus demon infecting your home, whether you're a dominatrix or a priest, or if you're both, even better. No, just kidding. The message really is there's a deeper message in the film, but you have to see the film to understand that part. And it really is about what one person wants to do in life. And then the film really deals with outside forces trying to make you be something you don't want to be. And that's ultimately what's at the core of the movie. But the sort of message on the surface of all of that is that we don't have to be enemies with 50% of the country. We can say, hey, I don't disagree. I don't agree with you. My morals, my thoughts, my beliefs are completely opposed. But if we can have a conversation and if we can sit down and have a dialogue, we might be able to find some kind of middle ground. And that's ultimately what's happening in this film.
So it's kind of let's agree to disagree, isn't it?
Let's agree to disagree is the first step. That's the first step. Understanding that people believe things for reasons that sometimes we don't understand. You know, like I was born in Cuba, and we left Cuba because communism in Cuba took everything that my family had worked hard for decades and decades and decades. And so we come to this country, and I will be the first to tell you that my parents, who lost everything, were so anti-communist that they were practically fascists. Like they were. I grew up in a home that was very Republican, very conservative, and And I think they were Republicans only because there wasn't a fascist party in the United States. Because anything to rebel against the thing that ruined their lives and ruined the country that they loved. So I, as a child, am growing up in this environment, which is to say that all of my first beliefs were also very conservative because I'm growing up around these people who believe that way. And you imitate what your parents do. And there came a point when I was a teenager where I started to think differently, and I started to have different feel. Like I thought gay people should be able to get married in the 30 years before Obama did. Like in the 80s, and I just had my own personal values as I started growing up were what we would call more liberal. And the point that I'm trying to make is that you never know where somebody is in their path. So you can't say, I'm never going to talk to that person because they voted for the wrong person or they're on the wrong side of the political spectrum. You have to understand that they might be on a journey like I was. And before I came to the point of believing the things that I believe today, I had an environment that was affecting me. I had parents that were affecting me. And so it's very, very important, I think, to remain open minded and to be able to say, I don't agree with you. I don't stand for what you stand for, but I want to sit down and have a conversation with you because I want to see if there's anywhere that we can find something in common. And what happens when you have communication, hearts are swayed. When you don't have communication, hearts are not swayed. I'm going to give you an example. Russia was a communist country, and then they got a McDonald's. They started doing trade with America. And Russians who were living under a communist system looked at America and were like, why are we suffering? Their lives are so much better than ours. And communism fell in Russia. China, it's a communist country, but there's more billionaires in China than there are in New York City because we have open dialogue with China. And they're like, there's some merits to a democracy. There's some merits to capitalism. Not perfect, but there are merits. And you start to sway hearts. Cuba remains exactly the way it was when I left in 1967 because we refused to talk to them. The United States government refuses to talk to them. And because the Cuban people don't have an example of how people are living outside of Cuba, they can only assume that it's worse everywhere else. And so I personally just believe that communication is very important. And this is a film that starts out like the setup for a joke. Like a priest, a dominatrix, and an incubus demon walk into a bedroom. It should be a joke, and yet it's a very earnest and heartfelt film about two individuals. One happens to be a dominatrix, one happens to be a priest, and they're both doing what we all do, muddling our way through life, trying to do the best that we can, and hopefully arriving at a place where we can find some peace with the people around us.
Since you mentioned religion and politics, are you a religious person and is there a political party that you support?
I am not religious, nor am I political. I'm a citizen of the world. I believe in humanity. I believe that we don't need the threat of punishment to be good, and we don't need the promise of reward to be good. I believe that you are a person. I just met you a few minutes ago. I would never want to harm you in any way. And if something bad happened to you, I would want to intervene and make it stop. Because that is why as human beings, that's what we're here for. We're here to be here for each other. And so I don't care who you voted for, and I don't care what God you pray to or don't pray to. You're a human being, and I respect you, and I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that harm doesn't come your way.
That's so nice.
And then I made a monster movie.
In your monster movie, how was it wearing the different hats, the writer hat, the director hat, and the actor hat?
Say that one more time.
In your monster movie, how was it being a director and writer and an actor?
It's a huge mistake. No one should ever do it. Really. Don't you should never maybe writing and directing your own film, fine. Writing and acting in your own film, fine. Directing and acting in your own film, that's a lot harder. So I was very lucky because I have a co-director. So this film was directed by myself and my very dear friend Jeff Farrell, who, when it comes to making feature films, is more experienced than I am because he directed 3 other films. And so we teamed up on this. And our basic strategy was, if you're in front of the camera, I'll direct. If I'm in front of the camera, you direct. And because we're such good friends and we love all the same goofy stuff, it was very, very easy to make this similar choices because we have like the same frame of reference about all of the spooky monster stuff that we love.
What are you planning to do with the film?
Great question. So the film premiered this week at the New York City Horror Film Festival, where we are standing today. And as of 2026, this movie goes on the road. So I have planned a road show. I'm primarily a musician. Most people know me as a musician. So every single year I play 40 to 50 cities a year. But this time it will be a concert and a screening of the film. Yes. So in every single city that I go to this year, in 2026, there will be a screening of the Demonatrix. And the hope is just to bring the film to people who are interested in seeing a film that is unique. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not very gory. It's not crazy scary. It's not super serious. And it's also not goofy. It's also not a comedy. It's just like life. It's a little bit funny, a little bit sad, sometimes a little bit scary. Just like life.
What other plans do you have apart from what you just said?
What other plans do I have? That's a little bit like asking somebody after Thanksgiving dinner. So, what are you going to eat tomorrow? Because
The leftovers.
I am just digesting the fact that we finally had our U.S. premiere. So I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am going to take some time off. Uh, I live in New York City and also in Mexico City, and my fiance is in Mexico City. So in a few days, I will return to Mexico City, and I'm going to take at least 3 to 4 weeks spending time with my fiance, our cat, and our dog. And then when I come back to the United States in January of 2026, it's Between the Devil and the Demonatrix tour. Hopefully coming to a town near you. We'll see.
And tell me about the music. So you're going to combine the music. What are you going to do with your music?
I'm a musician. I've made a living as a singer-songwriter. So it's I don't have songs in the movie. Everyone asks me, "Won't you write the score for the film? You're a musician." I'm like, "I wrote it. I directed it. I'm in it. I don't need to do everything." So, and I don't write scores. So we got an incredible, incredible composer by the name of Corey Wallace, who wrote an unbelievable score for this film. We recorded it with the Budapest Philharmonic Orchestra, and it's just I could have never done it. So, thank goodness for Corey Wallace. We do have some really great rock and roll songs from Mexico that are in the movie. But as far as the tour goes, I will do my concert like I always do, and the film will screen separately. So the two are only combined in that I had a hand in making both.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. Best of luck with your music, with your directing, writing, and being an actor.
My pleasure. Efresto.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.